And welcome to worship at Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Church. My face is not familiar to you. My name is the Reverend Denise Tracy, and I was scheduled to be in your pulpit in Prescott, Arizona this morning because I had planned a trip to visit my dear friend Taya Park. But the world had other plans. I appreciate Reverend Patty inviting me to preach from Zoom in my home in Illinois. I'm a retired UU minister, and so I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. So let us prepare for worship. In a few seconds, I will be ringing the peace bowl. Sit back, relax, open your ears, your mind, and your heart to receive any messages that you might find in the music and words of today's service. Listen, hear. For our gathering music this morning, there is a school in New York City, public school number 22. If you are ever feeling down or alone or uninspired, go onto YouTube and put in PS22 in the search bar and then watch what happens. There's a group of children that have recorded lots and lots of music. And as our opening music, I have chosen the song 1,000 Years, written by David Hodges. It is sung by Christina Perry and the PS22 School Choir. The song is about loving and being brave when the world is changing, for it is then that our courage is needed. Let's listen to the
Good morning and welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Prescott, Arizona. I'm Marianne Erickson, President of the Board of Trustees for 3 more weeks and your worship associate today. We extend a warm welcome to all. We are glad you're able to join us and we hope you are happy and in good health. We want to stay connected. So please join us for the breakout rooms after the service. This will give us time to chat with members and friends in small groups. If you are joining us for the first time, please check out our website for more information about Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation at prescottuu.org. This is the mission statement of our congregation. We are a compassionate spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. We extend our thanks to all who contribute to the presentation of our service today, Reverend Denise Tracy, Heather Knowles for technical direction, and Mary Lou Prince for musical direction. Although we are physically apart, we are still in community, and we continue with some of our meetings and activities via the internet. So please continue to check the weekly Peak emailed newsletter, our website, and Reverend Patty's videos for announcements. And join our regular weekly Zoom meetings, the Wednesday Granite Peak Politics and Religion Forum at 10 a.m., Fireside Storytelling at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays, and Friday lunch with the minister at noon. You will find connection information and other announcements in our order of service and through Reverend Patty's emailed videos. Ren Manning, our social justice coordinator, Reverend Patty, Mary Lou Prince, Joe Sprague, Peter Eldridge, and many other Granite Peakers took part in the Black Lives Matter Remember George Floyd March last Tuesday at the Courthouse Square in Prescott. Let us remember that we each have a role to play to dismantle systemic racism and white supremacy, and we need to make our voices heard to save lives and to see that America lives up to its highest ideals. Children's faith development will not be conducted today. All of Granite Peak's kids are invited to watch this service, especially the Time for All Ages. You're adorable. Be sure to tune in to the Granite Peak Talent Show this Friday at 7 p.m. The Zoom link will be sent out on Friday via email. Reverend Patty will not be at the congregation's backyard at 3 p.m. today, as she has been the past few Sundays. Feel free to meet, however, in her absence. She will be back next week. Plans for the online Father's Day pastry auction are in the works. Please contact me if you would like to donate a pastry. Our board vice president, Frank Beeson, is thankfully healing well after his injuries last week. The latest report is that he will not need surgery. You may have seen in Reverend Patty's video message yesterday that choir member Rick Denny has tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. At present, he is symptom-free and in quarantine. Rick had 2 COVID-19 tests this past week. The throat swab test was negative, but a subsequent nasal swab test performed at his doctor's office was positive. He was on the way to see his ill sister and had arrived in Southern Oregon when he got the report of his positive test. So he had to turn around. Karen Denny has not yet been tested, but is also in quarantine. Bev Bostrom, our faith development coordinator, is walking very well following her knee replacement and physical therapy treatments. Please remember our at-risk members and friends during Joys and Concerns today, and contact Nancy Beeson if you are in need of any help from the caring team. Thank you. We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting the chalice. This chalice lighting was written by Reverend David Usher and adapted by me. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith and commitment. By its light, may our vision be illumined. By its warmth, may our fellowship be encouraged, and by its flame, may our yearnings for peace, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations be enkindled. And now the words of gathering from Reverend Denise.
The words of gathering are written by Rebecca Parker, and the title is Choose to Bless the World. Your gifts, whatever you choose them, you discover them to be, can be used to bless or curse the world. The mind's power, the strength of the hands, the reaches of the heart, the gift of speaking, listening, imagining, seeing, waiting. Any of these can serve to feed the hungry, bind up wounds, welcome the stranger, praise what is sacred, do the work of justice, or offer love. Any of these can draw down the prison door, hoard bread, abandon the poor, obscure what is holy, comply with injustice, or withhold love. You must answer this question: what will you do with your gifts? Choose to bless the world. The choice to bless the world is more than an act of will, a moving forward into the world with the intention to do good. It is an act of recognition, a confession of surprise, a grateful acknowledgement that in the midst of a broken world, unspeakable beauty, grace, and mystery abide. There is an embrace of kindness that encompasses all life, even yours. And while there is injustice, anesthetization, or evil, there moves a holy disturbance of benevolent rage, a revolutionary love, protesting, urging, insisting, that which is sacred will not be defiled. Those who bless the world live their life as a gesture of thanks for this beauty and this rage. The choice to bless the world can take you into solitude, to search for the sources of power and grace, native wisdom, healing, and liberation. More, the choice will draw you into community, the endeavor shared, the heritage passed on, the companionship of struggle, the importance of keeping faith, the life of ritual and praise, the comfort of human friendship, the company of earth, the chorus of life welcoming you. None of us alone can save this world. Together, that is another possibility waiting. Our openings music this morning is written by Sandra O and Pat Humphreys, who are justice singers in the tradition of UU folk singer Pete Seeger. For the anniversary of 9/11, am I doing this in the right order? Yes, I am. For the anniversary of 9/11, they took one of their songs, Peace, Salam, Shalom, and recorded it from all the continents on earth. The words are pretty easy, peace, salam, shalom. So sing and watch and listen as Heather plays it for us.
La paz, creemos en la paz, creemos en la paz, creemos en la paz, salam, shalom. We will work for peace, salam, shalom. We will work for peace, salam, shalom. We will work for peace, salam, shalom. Peace, salam, shalom. Obramos por la paz, 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 salam, shalom. Nous œuvrons pour la paix, salam, shalom. Nous œuvrons pour la paix, salam, shalom. Nous œuvrons pour la paix, salam, shalom. J'œuvre pour la paix, salam, shalom. Vivimos en la paz, 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 salam, shalom. Nous vivons dans la paix, 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 salam, shalom. We can live in peace, 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 salam,
I would invite you to read the words of the covenant of the Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Church. As you read them, listen to them and take them into your heart. Believe them and be inspired to live them more fully today. The words will appear on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, thus do we covenant together. Next is the time for the young at heart, or the time for all ages. I want you to take a moment right now to think about our world, all those faces that we saw in the song, Peace, Salam, Shalom. Everyone in the world is living through change. Sometimes change is fun. I really like sewing, so staying at home, I have had more time to sew than I ever have in the last 40 years. So sometimes having lots of extra time is great, but there are some parts of change that are not fun. I miss my friends. I'm supposed to be in Prescott, Arizona right now with you, and instead I'm in Illinois. Sometimes when there's a lot going on, we feel badly. We feel sad or mad or grumpy or sleepy. Sounds like a list for a new group of 7 dwarfs, doesn't it? Well, I thought of a song that's very popular in my family. My grandmother used to sing it to her 14 children, one of whom was my mother. Imagine 14 kids. And my mom used to sing it to me, to my 2 sisters and I used to sing it to my 3 children, Clark and Tracy and Kyle. And if you are kind of old like me, you probably know this song. My grandchildren who live in Los Angeles are listening this morning. Hey, Max, Alex, and Diana. And Diana, my 4-year-old granddaughter, has just learned to wink. And so I'm going to wink for her. This song is for all of us, so we can feel great about ourselves. No matter how much change there is around you, the main thing and the main belief of Unitarian Universalism is love is the most important thing. And that's what this song is about. I have a little book. It's just this size. And I'm going to turn the pages as I sing. And as you can see, the first page says, A, you're adorable. So, A, you're adorable, B, you're so beautiful, C, you're a cutie full of charms, D, you're a darling, and E, you're exciting, and F, you're a feather in my arms. G, you look good to me, H, you're so heavenly, I, you're the one I idolize, J, we're like Jack and Jill, K, you're so kissable. L, you're the love light in my eyes. M, N, O, P, I could go on all day. Q, R, S, T, alphabetically speaking, you're okay. You made my life complete. V means you're very sweet. W and X, Y, Z. It's fun to wander through the alphabet with you to tell you what you mean to me. All right. So, A, you're adorable. And just remember that you are loved beyond compare, no matter who you are. For our joys and sorrows this morning, I would like you to put your arms around yourself, hug yourself, give yourself a hug. Remember hugs? I miss them a lot. So keep holding on. Now sit back, feel the chair against your back, put your feet on the floor, take a really deep breath and let it out. Take another deep breath. Breathe in and let it out, and keep hugging yourself. And think about the people you wish were hugging you as well. Think about how you feel. Are you sad or happy or lonely? Check in with yourself. Remember how you're feeling and take care of yourself. Later today, reach out by phone. Check in with someone that you would like to talk to, and maybe you'll get a call from somebody checking in with you. Show that you are loved and loving by being there for yourself and others. Be reminded that all change is loss and grief, that when we are adjusting to new and different things, there's a sense of loss and sorrow, but there's also a sense of excitement. Losses resonate with each other. So pay attention to the losses you may be feeling. Let your heart heal. Care for yourself. But also be aware of the little tickle of excitement that grows from the inside your tummy and just grows bigger and bigger, because change brings excitement. Celebrate your own resilience. Now let your mind expand and think of our country, of the marchers, those who want to visibly witness for a country of equity and justice for all, those who say we must end racism and who are standing up for a vision of a new country. Let us imagine the country that we seek to become a part of. Hug yourself tight. Hold on to that belief and that vision. Right now, our globe is healing. With people staying at home for the first time in decades, there is so little pollution in India that the Himalayan mountains are visible for the first time in nearly 50 years. Air and water pollution have decreased. So the earth is healing from we humans being at home. Let us learn lessons on how we might be better residents of our planet. Let us rest more lightly on our Mother Earth. Let us create new patterns to keep what is good from this time of rest. We think this morning of all those millions who are ill and fighting to get well. We grieve with those families who have lost loved ones. And we pray that each of us will be well. May we stay well. May we help one another when we see a need and care for each other. Let us be with one another even though we're far apart, and stay safe. Let us just adjust our perspective. May positive lessons come to us as we learn about ourselves in this time of social unrest and this time of pandemic. May this time be a time of creating the world that we have needed all along, just, healthy, and loving, in balance with all other creatures and with each other. Perhaps, just perhaps, we will be given and give each other the gift of a new future. Fair, full, and wondrous, this future will be born. Shalom, salam, peace, blessed be, and amen. You can unwrap your arms now. Take a deep breath.
Walking with you is my prayer. Walking with you is my prayer.
Denise, I'm sorry to break in.
Yeah.
Can you please not hold your pages close to your mic, if that's something you're able to do in your setup? I'm hearing crackling of the papers being
Okay.
closer than you.
Sure.
Thank you. I apologize for interrupting.
I will try to do that.
Thank you.
This is the time in our service when we normally gather the offering in the sanctuary. Let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather each week. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. During the month of June, our recipient is the Greater Yavapai County Coalition. Please read about this LGBTQ support organization in your order of service and in the newsletter. To give during this distance time, please go to prescottuu.org. On the bottom left-hand side of the homepage, click the word donate to contribute via PayPal. The link is also available in the chat on this video. Please note in the comment box or the memo line if you mail a check, if your funds are for your pledge, Seeds of Support, or a donation to Granite Peak. What is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be. Please enjoy this offertory music of hymn number 1053, How Could Anyone?
This morning's reading is a poem written by Naomi Shihab Nye. It's called Gate A4. Wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal after learning my flight had been delayed 4 hours, I heard an announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of Gate A4 understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses these days. Gate A4 was my own gate. I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian embroidered dress, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled to the floor wailing. "Help," said the flight attendant. "Talk to her. What is her problem? We told her the flight was going to be late, and she did this." I stooped to put my arm around the woman and spoke haltingly. "Shudawa, Shubidak, Habibti, Stani Shwe, Min Fadlik, Shubit Siwe." The minute she heard any words she knew, however poorly used, she stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled entirely. She needed to be in El Paso for major medical treatment the next day. I said, "No, we're fine. You'll get there, just later. Who is picking you up? Let's call him." We called her son. I spoke with him in English. I told him I would stay with his mother till we got on the plane and ride next to her. She talked to him. Then we called her other sons just for the fun of it. Then we called my dad, and he spoke to her for a while in Arabic and found out, of course, that they had 10 shared friends. Then I thought, just for the heck of it, why not call some Palestinian poets I know and let them chat with her? This all took up to 2 hours. She was laughing a lot by then, telling of her life, patting my knee, answering questions. She had pulled a sack of homemade mamoul cookies, little powdered sugary crumbly mounds stuffed with dates and nuts from her bag, and was offering them to all the women at our gate. To my amazement, not a single woman declined one. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo, we were all covered with the same powdered sugar, and we were smiling. There is no better cookie. And then the airline broke out free apple juice from huge coolers, and 2 little girls from our flight ran around serving it, and they were soon covered with powdered sugar too. And I noticed my new best friend, by now we were holding hands, had a potted plant poking out of her bag. Some medicinal thing with green furry leaves. Such an old country tradition. Always carry a plant. Always stay rooted to somewhere. And I looked around that gate of late and weary ones, and I thought, this is the world I want to live in. The shared world. Not a single person in that gate, once the crying of confusion stopped, seemed apprehensive about any other person. They took the cookies. I wanted to hug all those other women too. You see, this can happen anywhere. Not everything is lost. I decided that I wanted to be a minister when I was 10 years old. I have never wanted to be anything else ever. I was advised, however, to study other subjects in undergraduate school, so I chose literature and music. I still love both. My husband and I have opening night tickets in the second row to every musical that comes to Chicago. And I have to admit that I have seen Hamilton, the musical, 6 times. So it may not surprise you to learn that I believe that life needs to be more like a musical. If every once in a while, perhaps once or twice a day, I think life would be better if we would stop, sing a little number, do a tap dance or a soft shoe dance, smile at one another, and then continue on our way. Wouldn't that improve work and family and meetings and trips to the grocery store? Life in general would improve with music and dance. We already do this at church. We sing together. Even when we're far away, we share beautiful music. Well, I think as songwriter and folk singer Pete Seeger said, he believed that people singing together unite us in a powerful movement for justice. I think that's true. 2 summers ago, I planned a vacation with a friend that I loved. I flew to New York City for 5 days, and in those 5 days, I saw 4 musicals. We arrived on Monday. We saw 1 musical on Tuesday. We saw 2 on Wednesday. We saw 1 on Thursday, and then we went home on Friday. One of the musicals we saw was a musical called Come From Away. This musical tells the story of the week following 9/11. In the aftermath of the collapse of the Trade Towers, there were 38 jumbo jets en route to New York City when the airports closed. They were directed to an airport in Gander, Newfoundland, a town which had a total population of 10,000. Those 38 planes held 7,000 people and 19 animals. At first, it was thought the delay would be just a few hours, but those hours became first 1 day and then 2. What to do? Before anyone got off the plane, the townspeople made 7,000 lunches that were delivered to the planes. They filled prescriptions at the local pharmacy. They purchased diapers and female sanitary supplies. They got necessary clothes for people who were under or overdressed. Before long, the grocery store was empty, as were the shelves at Walmart. The town, after a day or so, decided to open its doors, and every home took someone in. The mayor of Gander said, "What we consider the most simple thing in life is to help people. You're not supposed to look at people's color, their religion, or their sexual orientation. You look at them as people." The people of Gander fed, clothed, and housed and cared for nearly 7,000 people for an entire week. Gander was nicknamed Casserole City. All 50 states were represented in people on the plane, and over 100 countries: Israel, Austria, Spain, Poland, France, the Philippines, Iran, Italy, England, Germany, Thailand, Belgium, the Ukraine, Africa, the UAE, and Russia. The list goes on. 7,000 guests of Gander, 7 days, and the Gander folks never asked for a thing in return. Like Jeff Bridges' character in the movie Starman, who says, "You humans are at your best when things are at their worst." The musical Come From Away tells this story. 14 characters sing about the experience of being stranded and or hosting stranded people. A Black man who is a passenger on the plane sings of his fear of strangers, and 2 gay men, also passengers, sing of their fear of being accepted. A female passenger whose son is a New York firefighter calls all week long to reach her son. There is no answer on his phone. Finally, on day number 7, as she is about to board the plane, someone picks up his phone and says that he has perished in the towers. When the all clear comes, what has happened is that connections have been made for a lifetime. When asked what the travelers could do for Gander folks, one Gander man points to a suggestion box on the wall at the local library and says, well, you could put something in there. But what really happened is that money was contributed for scholarships for Gander children, and these scholarships were endowed. Over $1 million was collected, and the children of Gander have been going to college ever since. And people are still friends. 2 passengers who were on different planes but housed at the same house got married. We did what anyone would do, the people of Gander said. The music for the musical is a kind of Irish music, a Newfoundland sound that carries the story into the heart and mind. For me, it was an indelible experience. People going through their worst, being their best. Several years ago in the spring, I was in Europe on spring break, in Brussels, the capital of Europe, and my husband and son and I were standing on the Grand Place. Suddenly, before me was an East Indian man. He stopped, tapped me on the shoulder, and asked if I would take a picture of him and his wife and 2 children. Where are you from? I asked, and he said, London. Where are you from? He asked, and we said, Chicago. Would you take our photo? And he did. We smiled and chatted. We wished each other good day and a good vacation. Have a great trip, we said. And then I looked around us. There I saw men holding hands with men, women walking arm in arm, families in all colors of dress, old, young, smiling, happy, Asian, East Indian, African, Caucasian, all classes of dress, women in high heels, women in flip-flops and shorts, men in shirts and ties, or men in khakis and sneakers. The people of the world were there before my eyes. Suddenly, the sound of an oboe soared above our heads. The song from Les Mis, made famous by Michael Crawford, Bring Him Home, he used to sing in his beautiful tenor voice. The music flowed above our heads. It was beautiful, and the diverse family was displayed before me. I listened and looked and found myself in tears. The oboist was a blonde young woman. She smiled as she played, and then she played the Morricone piece from the Mission. I thought to myself, this is the world that I want to live in. This is the world that I want for my grandchildren and my children and for all the children of the world. People blended together in a world where there are no strangers, where everyone is loved and everyone is welcomed, with some inspiring music as a soundtrack. Jane Goodall said, "You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what difference you want to make." One of the reasons I love Unitarian Universalism is that in our worship, we can see the microcosm of our community. There's a story for children, there are joys and sorrows, there's usually silence and music. We share our needs and we share our resources. Our worship is tender and loving and nourishing. When one of us has a crisis, people share that crisis and step next to us to help. When we speak of beloved community, much of the time it's an abstract, out there, far away. But really, beloved community is immediate, here, right now. Imagine the room that you usually worship in your mind's eye. Most people have a chair or a section of the room they usually sit in, and they have people that they know that are around them. Meet one another. Imagine yourself in the room that you worship in, because this is your beloved community. Look at the people on the screen. Know that you love them and they love you. And sometime we will get back together and we'll be able to hug and love each other in person. Most congregations have many, many relationships. Most of them are pleasant and good, and sometimes they have velvet and sandpaper. That's what congregations are. Not all the time are things sweet, but we have to remember that even when we are sandpaper to one another, we still respect and love each other. In community, we learn to become more human and to be more beloved. Several years ago, our family went to Belgium. Again, we were visiting our foreign exchange student in Brussels. We have a 15-year relationship with a young man who came to us first when he was 14 to learn English. And so we go to Brussels quite often. And when we were planning the trip there, in communication about schedules, Amaury, that's his name, said, "I must apologize. I have a family obligation the weekend you are here. My mother insists that I must go to her village, the village of her family. It will be boring. You are invited, but please do not feel obliged to go." And I said, "Well, of course we will go with you." I did not know where we were going or what the purpose of this trip was. But we traveled from Brussels to a village called Elzel in the Dutch part of Belgium. We traveled through fields where there were cows and brick houses and cobblestone roads, the rich smell of earth in springtime with the beauty of a pale blue sky above our heads. When we arrived at a cemetery where a tombstone marked one entire section of the cemetery. It was a huge, huge tombstone, a flat piece of stone. It was about 8 feet long and 10 feet high, and there were 30 names on it with the deaths, the names of births, and all of the 30 names shared the same death date. I read haltingly the story at the top of the tombstone in French. The Germans, the SS, had occupied Elzel for much of World War II. When they got the order to leave because the war was over and was not turning in their favor, as they were on their way out of town, they gathered together 30 men, all fathers and breadwinners of families, and they took them to the very edge of the village where they shot and killed them on their way out of town. The bodies of these men were discovered after the village was no longer occupied. 30 families were left fatherless. Amaury's great-grandfather owned the only factory in town. It was a tapestry mill, and it was the major industry, and most of the people in town worked in this factory. Amaury's grandfather decided that he would create one job for each family so that each family would have an income and not be left penniless. He then also provided money for education for every child in these 30 families. He became, in essence, the personal parent for each of these 30 families, as well as for his own children. The event that we almost missed was the celebration of the 50th anniversary of Amaury's grandfather's death. The families of these 30 men and their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren gathered in the cemetery to pay tribute to the man who had saved their lives. They gathered in front of not the tombstone of their relatives, but of Amarie's grandfather's stone. They had a band that played. His daughter and his son and his grandchildren and great-grandchildren were all honored by the families of the town. There were speeches, there was music, and we blessed the event with our tears. Although my French was not so fluent to understand every word, what was communicated was a sense of family beyond specific name or heritage. The gift of education, income, and career gave life to generations in that town. The Prime Minister of Belgium sent flowers for the occasion. I was called to the idea of beloved community. In some way, it is the most natural idea in the world. And in this pandemic, you just have to read the news and you can find heartwarming stories that illustrate our human capacity for love. The medical professionals risking their lives repeatedly every day to heal others. People giving blood. People delivering groceries and medicines to those who cannot leave their homes. People calling, tending, caring, loving. I am a part of a team called the Northern Illinois Critical Incident Stress Management Team. We help firefighters and police process the aftermath of accidents and tragedies. One of our members spent 3 weeks in New York City working with firefighters and reservists as they moved bodies from hospitals to refrigerated trucks to graves and to funeral homes. The work was difficult, but my colleague began to talk and minister to the 18 and 19-year-old reservists who were providing care for all of the bodies that they were working with. We need each other now more than ever. We need to exemplify the beloved community. We need to call, write, text, march, witness, testify, sing, yell, and even preach. Well, we may not be in our buildings, but we are still the church. We are still the beloved community. Do not let distance keep you from loving each other, from reaching out in whatever way you can, for even now, the beloved community will be saving. I hope you know this, and I hope that you will be tender with each other and for each other. Today's reading about Gate A4 tells the story of beloved community at one gate, 1 3-hour period in one afternoon. Naomi Shihab Nye says, this can happen anywhere. Not everything is lost. Her words ring true. We make a sacred community every day. We do not need to do one thing, but live our faith every day and have what we all desire, love and a beloved community, here, now, tomorrow, and forever. Amen. I have something to say about the song that we're going to sing. And so my favorite hymn is in the Teal book, and it's called Blue Boat Home. It's a song by Peter Mayer. I love the imagery and the idea of life being like a boat, that we are with people we love on an ocean. Let's watch and listen and sing. All right, the closing words. I want you to take your hands and hold them up. Take your hands and hold them up. Hold them in the shape of a chalice. And imagine the fire of your faith is burning between your palms. And as you look at that fire, take heart, Take hope, take faith, and be strengthened in the week ahead, for the world needs the brilliance of you. The world needs your strength and your love and compassion. Take your hands, put the fire of your faith into your heart. Take it and put it right into your heart. Go ahead. Yep, there you go. And remember, your faith is always with you. Blessed be and shalom. Our closing music is again from Public School 22 in New York City. Leonard Cohen wrote, well, he's the bard really for the 19th and 20th century, but he wrote a song called Alleluia, and he penned some 86 verses, if you can imagine that. We're not going to listen to all of them, but we are going to listen to PS 22 sing Cohen's anthem. Watch these children's faces and think of the children you know and love. We must create a better world for them. We just must. Let us listen and be reminded. All right. There are going to be some words on the screen, and we're going to extinguish the flame together. So, Marianne, you get to extinguish the flame, and I will lead the words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I want to thank you so much for coming to worship today. I hope in the next year, maybe I'll get to actually come to Prescott and visit my friend Taya and meet some of you.